talked about the strike year of '81, how baseball needed a breather, needed a refresher of what the sport was about. They reached back to the '75 series. And that summer when the strike ended, it happened just about the time of the Cooperstown inductions. Ernie Harwell's acceptance speech, as he was enshrined along with the Ford Frick Award, was a masterful welcome back to the sport and an eloquent statement. But then eloquence is a way of life with Ernie, and baseball has been his life. Here's George.
To baseball broadcasting, he's already a legend. After half a century of a love affair with the game, Ernie Harwell has finally put some of those very special experiences down on paper in Tune to Baseball. The man who was honored by the Ford Frick Broadcasting Award by the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1981 has blended together stories from the broadcasting booth, the field, and the locker room, all with the talent of a virtuoso. He describes success and failure, humanity and laughter, and the greatest moments he's observed.
My most exciting moment probably was October 3rd, 1951, when Bobby Thompson hit that famous home run, and I was fortunate enough to be on NBC television. Everybody remembers Russ Hodges and his great radio call, the shot heard around the world, and I think it's the most famous sports broadcast of all time, Russ's description, but it just happened that a fellow in Brooklyn taped that and sent it to Russ, and they put it out as a record, and that's how it got popular. And I happened to be on TV at a time when, in those days, there were no instant replays and no recordings at all made, so only Mrs. Harwell and I know that I was on that moment.
Ernie spends far more time in this book, though, talking about other people, with a list of characters as long as his 50 years behind the mic.
Well, I've got a couple of candidates. Norman Cash at Detroit was one of my favorites, a fellow who went in and took a leg off a table in the clubhouse and went to bat with it against Nolan Ryan. Mark the Bird Fidrich is another favorite, a fellow who was great with the malaprops. He always had the wrong word at the wrong time, but he was great on the mound. He could pack the ballpark, and he had a charisma that very few players had. I love to watch Willie Mays play. Eddie Stanky was one of my favorites. Jackie Robinson, Pee Wee Reese, there have been so many great ones. Brooks Robinson's also one of my personal favorites.
Tune to Baseball by Ernie Harwell, a unique man in his own right. He's penned a truly enjoyable reflection on the game he loves. George Grand for Inside Baseball.
Hope you had a chance to hear Ernie on CBS Radio covering the American League Championship Series. This time next week, we will have a new world champion. George will be back to recap the entire World Series on Inside Baseball.
Fly the friendly skies of United, serving more of the nation's top 100 business centers than anyone.
You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies.